Welcome to the Ecomminsiders podcast. My name is Debbie, and this event is being sponsored by SPCTEK. Today's topic is selling on international marketplaces, key considerations for global expansion. My guest today is Jana Krekic. She is founder of YLT Translations. She's well-known e-commerce expert and entrepreneur, specializing in Amazon sales and international market expansion. She is the founder and CEO of YLT Translations, a company that provides professional translation services, especially for Amazon sellers looking to expand their businesses globally. Thank you for coming today, Jana.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm pretty excited. Tell us a little bit more about your company and what exactly you do.
Sure. So we basically help sellers or basically their brand to be translated into sales on another marketplace. So we're not just another translation agency. We basically do a lot of localization. We optimize the listings with some really good, highly converting keywords. And we just basically cover content for all non-English marketplaces where Amazon is present.
So, what inspired you to start your company?
Um, I have background in languages. Actually, I'm a translator, and this is where I went to school for. I got my bachelor's and master's in 3 languages. So languages have always been my passion. But it turned out that I got offered a job in e-commerce when I was 20 years old, which is a lot years from now. So I accepted that. It just like started off as like a summer job, and then I got really interested in learning more. It was at the time it was a startup. It was one of it's going to later it became a very big European e-commerce, and I was COO for about 8 years. So that really inspired me to kind of pursue my career within e-commerce, and I really learned a lot. And then the company I was working at, they just discovered Amazon. That was like 16 years ago. So this was like the first time I've heard about buy box and like how to win certain things on Amazon, the strategies behind all of that. And so I thought, like, we're doing a really good job in the States, but why don't we expand to other countries? Back then, it was only 4 big European countries as like a part of Pan EU. There were not even part of Pan EU, just 4 countries. And then I got the idea to hire someone from our call center who was a native speaker to do a translation, a little bit of research using Google Ads to optimize those listings a little bit, just like a little bit of the bullets. And then actually that resulted in like landing a couple of sales for us because we were not doing great on Amazon. And my boss at that time, he didn't care about it that much because we were doing a lot of D2C.
Hmm.
And then I was like, wow, I think there's a lot of room for improvement in this field. And then shortly after that, I quit my job, and basically this is how YLT was born. We were first doing a bunch of e-commerce translations in Amazon, and then after a year or so, we kind of niched down to Amazon only, which turned out to be a very good move, even though it was very risky at the time.
Mm, yeah. If you could go back in that history, what's one thing that you might do differently when you started your business?
Wow, that's a tough question because I think I would have done a lot of things differently. It was Wild Tea is I mean, it's my first business. Like I've built several after it, but it's my first baby to say so. And then no matter how experienced you are at your job working for somebody else, you literally have no idea what you're doing when you start something on your own. Even though I was CEO of a 400 people company, I couldn't actually apply anything to my own business because I was scared. I was very like, I was the imposter
Yeah.
syndrome, all of that. So what I would have changed is that I was all over the place. Like, I don't think I could have changed the how I felt because this is something you feel when you don't have experience and then you don't believe in yourself. So I couldn't change that. Even if I really wanted to, I couldn't change that. But what I could change if I go back 6 years ago and like I'm just now starting my company, it would be that I should have prioritized my tasks, and
Yeah.
that I should not have been all over the place and just like took too much at the same time, just like constantly feeling like I'm running behind
Yeah.
other people, companies, and everything. So advice to myself 6 years ago would have been just take your time, and then don't spread yourself too thin, and just focus on one thing and one thing only, and do it the best you can, because all other things are not going anywhere, and you are not losing time or anything by going more in depth in things that are really important.
Well, I think those are some really wise words, not just for people who are going into e-com, but any entrepreneur who's starting their own business. Because I've heard that from other people that even though you might have a really good grasp on other
Mhm.
businesses and you might be running someone else's other business, when you do it for yourself, there's a different feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. You feel like I mean, for instance, like if someone told me, like we should hire this or do operations this way, if I was doing this for the company I was working for, I would do it like in a heartbeat, right? I would be not even thinking about it. And if someone told me, you should do it that way, I'll be just like, no, like listen, I know what I'm doing. And then fast forward to like, a couple of years later, and it was like me working on my own business, I was doubting everything I knew. I
Mm,
thought that I had no idea what I was doing, even though it was literally like I should just replicate what I know and what I was doing for somebody else. Now, finally, should just apply that to my business, but I couldn't because I was sabotaging myself so
mm,
much that at the end of the day, you have that big self doubt, like, are you good
yeah,
enough? Is this worth it? Who's even going to work with you? So like, I was not being on my own side a lot, and
yeah,
then but this is something which is absolutely normal
yeah,
now after 6 years and talking to so many other entrepreneurs. This is what everyone's going through, but not everyone will tell you how it was and how they felt.
yeah.
You're gonna read, all these success stories, and then there was always this quote, and when I don't remember who this was, but this person said, it took me 5 years to be an overnight success. And this
Yes.
is how everyone portrays it that way. It's all like fun and glam, but nobody talks about the obstacles and everything, and crying themselves to sleep and all of those
Yeah.
good things.
Self-confidence and being able to stand there and make the mistakes and learn the lessons and stuff like that and not beat yourself up over it is really key when you're starting your own company. I want to talk a little bit about some Amazon sellers. What do you think are the primary challenges and opportunities for those businesses that want to expand into international marketplaces?
So first of all, I think problem number one is budget. So if you don't have a budget, I wouldn't dare to expand, because it's going to take a lot of time and money. So even if you don't have a big budget, I think you might not be happy with the result, because actually you invested of yourself and everything too much, and you did not come. The results did not come back to you. So you need to be like very comfortable in expanding, and to allocate certain funds into this, and maybe even forget about them, because you don't know if it's going to be good or bad. And I'm saying it's not that you don't know if it's going to be a good or bad choice for you, because a lot of brands don't do any due diligence, which is my number 2 point. So due diligence is a very big problem, which really is a no-brainer to me and some other brands that are doing a good job. But a lot of brands and a lot of sellers really do not understand the importance of that. So if you don't do due diligence, you will not understand if this is a good opportunity or not. And just because somebody else is doing it doesn't mean, like your competitor, doesn't mean that they are earning good profit out of it. And just like, don't hop on that wagon, or you're attracted by shiny objects and stuff like that before you know your numbers and your data. Because what you should do is you should not compare only the revenue that your competitor is making on a new marketplace, but you should compare profits. And you should check how much profit they're making on your home marketplace, let's say in the States, versus how much profit they're making in Mexico or Canada or Germany. And this should be your guideline whether to expand or not. Expansion is my bread and butter, but I will say this. Not everyone should expand, and
Mm.
it's not a good idea for absolutely everyone. So
Yeah.
mandatory is to do due diligence, have enough budget, and also to just be patient and to have good partners who help you with certain parts that your team has no knowledge about. For instance,
Mm.
localization or VAT, shipping. Just like make sure to work with really good partners. Maybe someone who a brand that you know who had someone that it was like happy with. You just like go and like use those same people. Don't go out and test the waters because like there's a lot of things out there.
How do you think businesses can identify what the most promising international market is for their product or service?
There are tools that can tell you that. For instance, like if you go to brand analytics and Seller Central, you can find it's called the Opportunity Explorer, where you can see how much money a certain product can make on this versus another marketplace. There are also tools like Helium 10, an option called Black Box, where you can use that and then you can find out the sales. You can see the competitors. There's just like a bunch of data out there that is available to you to test out and just like see if this is going to be successful. And also, if you don't find any competitors selling your product on a new marketplace, that doesn't necessarily have that is not necessarily a good sign, because why would
Mm.
no one sell this product out there? Maybe there's a catch, maybe not, but you have to like really like dig deeper into it and check all of the data that you can get your hands on, because the numbers are going to show you if it's worth it or not.
Good. What do you think are the top international marketplaces right now that you would recommend to a business that's actually ready to expand? Where would you recommend that they go?
So if we're talking about US brands, like the first logical step for the brands is to expand to either Mexico or Canada, just because they're closer geographically. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the right choice for the product. But when talking about, let's say, Europe, Germany is the biggest Amazon marketplace right after the US. So I would always suggest expanding to Europe and test the waters in, like, let's say, Germany, UK, and Spain, for instance, or France, because we've had a lot of brands that actually they match the revenue they're making in the US in Europe across 4 or 5 different marketplaces. And we work with 7, 8, 9 figure brands and some
Yeah.
enterprise brands. So we've seen a lot of times that this happens. So it's not just, I'm going to tell you this because I'm, in this industry, but it's really, it's the truth. And there are like a lot of tools and numbers that can show you this. Especially what is interesting about international marketplaces that don't have English as a spoken language. On the content level, which means like on the organic level with the index and keywords and all of that, not talking about the ads and the marketing that way, you can see that a lot of your competitors and other brands are really not doing a good job. And that is
Mm.
because a lot of them do not have a team that consists of people that speak their language and are experts for your category in Germany, in France, and Spain, but they just Google Translate the content. They don't do keyword research, and this can do a lot of harm to your brand, because the audience you're speaking to, let's say in Germany, is not the same audience that's buying from you back home. So
Yes.
you need to convey the same message using localization, using local terms, local keywords. Like on TikTok, like not the same. Let's say if you test like a top TikTok songs in Germany, they're not gonna be top 10 TikTok songs as they're in the States probably.
Right.
There's going to be like a 50% mismatch on that. So just think of like that when you want to like connect with the new audience.
So, what do you think some of the challenges and opportunities are for someone who wants to use machine translation for their keyword research?
Yeah, well, the problem is that, I mean, machine translation or just using a regular translator that has no Amazon knowledge is basically the same. Because when you translate the keyword, let's say gray travel mug, this is a keyword. And this is, let's say, a top keyword in the States. But if you translate it to gray travel mug in German, it's probably not going to even be a keyword in this
Mhm.
country, and let alone be ranked or anything. So they might like pink mug, not even a travel mug. So by translating what you have, let's say on the column from the left where you have all the keywords downloaded, you're probably not going to get a lot of actually converting keywords in German. And that is why you have to do the keyword research from scratch, because as I said, not all TikTok songs are equally popular in all the countries. So why would you think that the German audience will look for the exact same products using same search terms as someone in the States? Because they don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really important point to make if you're going into these markets. And I think you said it before, it really helps when you have a partner who understands maybe some locality and some cultural terms and some things like that that can actually help you. A pure translation doesn't necessarily give you the semantics that you might need to sell. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Um,
No semantics at all whatsoever. And it just will be, those will just be translated words that will not form a search term that you would want to have in your content description. And nobody will find your product because it will be completely irrelevant what you used to describe your product.
Yeah. How do you think Amazon sellers identify the profitable product niches in foreign markets? I mean, if you have a wide, complex catalog, how would you determine which products you might want to take first into a foreign market?
So usually it's always going to be bestsellers. So bestsellers on one market are highly likely going to be bestsellers in European market. Let's start talking about European market. The only market where you have to be really careful about is Japan. It's a really
Mm.
untapped market because a lot of people are afraid because of the different alphabet, language. It's like a whole different planet over there. And I was in Japan last year, and boy, is that right! It's like really like a unique experience. It's like, walking into like a, I don't know, like a Disney store for the first time. It's just like, wow, it's like nothing is like what you're used to. Is like, just forget about it. It's like completely opposite. So I would say that your bestsellers might not work in Japan, but usually they would work in 85% of cases. They would work in Europe. And I know this because this is what, when brands come to us and we start working with them, they're like, here's our top 10 sellers, let's see how, if they do good, let's do more. So usually all of those best sellers worked just fine, and then they added more. And then when you're making more profit from the new marketplace, then you can test out and like do more, even though they're not bestsellers. You can just like, try and see if it works. It works. If it doesn't, still have 10 products that are they're doing really, really well on a foreign marketplace.
And talk a little bit more about the importance of actually localizing the product titles and
Mhm.
descriptions.
Yeah, that's really important because let's say you want to move to Germany with your product. And if you have a product that is written in a US style, which is pretty much like a salesy, fluffy
Mm.
style, it's not going to sit well with the German audience because they're quite the opposite from the US style. They're very like, straight to business, serious, like key features of the product. It's very much like black and white, and it's like, no, don't sugar coated, don't sweet talk to me about this product. Like, I will decide if I like this product or not. I have like a really good example. It was a glass espresso cup, a description that we did a couple of years ago. So the US content, the first bullet began with the words cool, cooler, coolest. This is how it begins, like, with a, and then we just translated like to German. We translated it as thermo isolated glass because we're like, it doesn't burn your fingers.
Yeah.
It's really great. It's a great product. Or like the third bullet was something along these lines. Just like your just like that old ship in a bottle your grandma used to have on your fireplace, these glasses are going to last forever. Blah blah. So we just changed that into stylish and elegant. Full stop. Like it's like a really clear message, like what you wanna how you wanna talk to your audience. Of course, if you're selling plush toys or like kids categories, of course you can play around with words a little bit,
Yeah.
but you should be very very limited and like really pay close attention to how don't go too crazy with that. But this is something that really does not translate well in terms of using a regular translator or just machine translations. It really that will not resonate with a new audience, and especially because like your audience will probably have 5 tabs open with the same product. So if this product does not talk to them in a way that they like it, they're just going to close the tab and move on to the another one. And also, like an interesting fact, according to Harvard Business Review, 56% people prefer actually think that the price is less important than the language, which
Uh,
means that your product can cost $10 less than all of your competitors. But if you left it in English or it's poorly translated, they're not going to buy it. They're going to go to somebody else, which is 100% correct. And I've seen this happen a lot of times. Like, cheaper product with literally no reviews, same product as what the competitor is selling, just left in English, let's say for European marketplaces, or not done really well, poor content, confusing. People don't want to buy that.
yeah. So, how can sellers optimize their product listings for voice search in different languages? Right now there's so much conversation about Rufus and how he's
Yeah.
going to be helping everyone and stuff. So, what are you seeing kind of on the trends of that?
Yes, so this is a great question. So when it comes to Rufus, it's only available for now in the States. It's not available for any of the other marketplaces. But optimizing for voice search and like Alexa and like the Rufus and Cosmo and all this universe, it's also going to be relevant what you see on the images. So for instance, like if you are selling a holder for your passport, and let's see if a person is hiding like this like a cover for your passport with its hand, so you can actually see the product, like the Rufus won't be able to understand what is on the picture. So you really want to make like clear images with like clear stated where is the product, what am I doing, has to be like really well optimized, and then people can test this out. There are tools that where you can upload an image asking, hey, what do you see on this image? And then AI will tell you what they see on the image. And then you can test this out and see what is better, because this is exactly how Rufus would be working like on Amazon. Also for the voice search and everything, a lot of things will be figured out from the pictures, because when you land on the Amazon page you have the title and then you have those pictures. So from the title they can figure out one thing, but from the images it's like it's a whole new world. Like you can literally like put
Mm,
the whole description together just from the images. So this is going to be really really important. And also talking about Rufus, it's going to be really important, your bullets and your content. So it's not just going to be, okay, I have this text and these are my key features. It's going to be really important what your users say and the reviews. So you
mm,
should actually write these bullets from a perspective of someone who already bought the product and has used it. So it should be written in a very conversational way and in a manner that it tackles the reviews, so it feels like you're buying from an actual person who's tested the product. This is also going to be very important. So no keyword stuffing, no weird language. So context, which a lot of AI tools don't have, or translation tools or whatever, is what matters. Context and branding and customer reviews and images. This is going to be a game changer when it comes to Rufus and Cosmo on Amazon.
How can Amazon businesses actually ensure that if they're doing translations, that they're getting accurate and culturally appropriate translations, not just on product descriptions, but also in some of the marketing. How do they know?
So unfortunately, they can't know because they don't have anyone in house. But you can see by the impressions and by click through rates. For instance, if you've done a machine translation and after that you had it optimized by someone who knows what they're doing, within first 3 weeks you should see something like exponentially, like skyrocketing, because this
Mm,
is what happens every time when you redo machine translation that had like zero conversions or anything. And when the job is right, you should probably see increase in like 20-30% within the first month or two. So this is how you would know if the job is done right.
yeah, that's great. Now, we talked a little bit about product images. Talk a little bit about video for international markets. What's most appropriate when you're doing video?
So I would say that usually, I mean, cost-effective way is to just put the subtitles in all of the different languages, for instance, when you want to sell internationally. So definitely that. But also, I've had a really great LinkedIn post a couple of days ago, and I actually recorded a video in English and I had it translated, also lip synced into Arabic, Spanish, and Japanese. I speak none of these three languages, and it was done so perfectly well. It's insane. It literally blew my mind. I got 17,000 impressions on the video, and I've got so many questions like, how did I do this? So the tool name, I'm not affiliated or anything, but the tool name is HeyGen. And if you upload a video in English, you can even create like the twin avatar, and then you can like just type in the words that you want this person to, I mean, avatar to say, and you can just like have this AI influencer, whatever, just speak in a different language, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
uh, it costs like just a fraction of the price that you would have if you hired an actual native person to record a video in a professional studio. So I don't know, this tool just like blew my mind. You should check it out later.
Yeah.
uh
How are you spelling that? Hey, Jin.
Hey Jen, Heygen.
Okay. All right. Hey, Jen. So people
Yeah,
can check that out.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
what about customer support?
Mhm.
What are some of the challenges for multilingual customer support, and how do you overcome those?
Yeah, that is also a really good question. Usually, somebody will just like sit and they would just do the Google Translate, or they would have like top 10 ask questions and like with the answers and all that. This is like how most of the brands deal with it. But usually, I think most of the brands just hire freelancers and just like tell them what to do, teach them about the brand,
Mm,
because depending on how big your brand is, you're not necessarily going to get that many questions that you new questions that you can't cover.
right.
So what a lot of brands do is just like they would translate all of the questions that they had, they translate the answers, they hire a VA, and they have them post for questions and answers. Because it's usually going to be, I mean, you know your product. So if you
Yeah.
know that you have a problem with leakage or this and that, is probably what is going to be about. So this is, from my experience, how most of the brands deal with that.
Yeah. So tell us, if somebody wants to find out a little bit more about your services, what's your website and where would they go to find that?
So our website is YLT-translations.com. You can read everything about us, all the case studies, all the amazing brands that we've been working with for the last 6 years.
Is it .com or .net?
.com.
Okay.
.com.
Okay.
.net was the website we migrated it, so it's .com. Yeah. And
Okay. All right.
yeah, and I use just .NET to schedule calls. That's all I use it for nowadays. And yeah, of course, you're welcome to follow me on LinkedIn. Let's connect. I share a bunch of really great updates when it comes to international selling. And I would love to, chat, or if you have any questions. We're happy to do an audit on all the listings that you have, or if there's any advice we can give on brand or localization, absolutely for free. So you can either fill out the form on our website, ylt-translations.com, or you can reach out to me personally on LinkedIn.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today at Ecom Insiders, sponsored by SPCTEK. Our guest speaker again, Jana Krekic. And if you have any questions, you can leave them also below in the comment fields. If you enjoyed today's session, just please subscribe or like this edition of it. And we would love to see you on future editions of Ecom Insiders. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.